One good thing about music, when it hits, you feel no pain. Words from the reggae king himself, Bob Marley. And how true are those words? As we celebrate Reggae Month, we want you to keep that in mind. And we will be celebrating alongside you with a reggae docuseries called Hit Me With Music. But more on that later. For now, we want to keep the focus on our future, our children. That is, in this week's Get the Facts, we hear from the Ministry of Education. Hello there. Welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. More after this short break. Government has embarked on an initiative to reshape the education sector. You may have heard about it. TREND. That's right. Transforming Education for National Development. Dr. Casson Troop, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, is here to tell us more. Let's listen in.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm Theodore Henry. It's said that an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And it would seem the government of Jamaica, through the Ministry of Education and Youth, believes wholeheartedly in this theory. So much so that the ministry has embarked on a new initiative called TREND. It's in capital letters, designed to transform the sector. To help us learn more about this new venture is Dr. Casson Troop, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Youth. Welcome to the program, Dr. Troop.
Thank you, Theodore, for having me. It's my joy.
All right, let's jump right into getting some facts. TREND. What is TREND?
TREND is just our acronym to indicate to Jamaica what this transformation program is all about. We had to make the connection between education and the development of our country.
Okay.
And I want to tell you that that acronym came from a series of conversations with our young people.
What?
Yes, they wanted to not just hear about transformation and the pillars. They want to feel connected. They want to feel excited by what education means. And so they came up with this acronym, and it really means transforming education for national development. And I'm happy that happened because they're making the connection.
Right.
We are improving, we are growing, but more so for our greater good, for our improvement of our country. And far too long, we have seen the disconnect. Nobody knows, why do we go to school? Why are we learning all of this?
Right.
Why are we struggling so much in our country? There is a disconnect, but we are educated for the upliftment of our country and the improvement of the people. And as a person, you know,
Right.
you transform your economic and social situation, and more so to advance the cause of your country. So it is a young people, and
Yes.
it's actually the acronym that is driving our campaign. So coming out of the transformation report, we were pushed to expedite the building of awareness of our constituents of Jamaica.
Right.
So this massive report is in front of us with 365 recommendations.
Wow.
It's a lot to read because we sent it out via our websites, we sent it out via our intranet in our ministries, sent it out to our divisions, agencies, to our schools, and people say, oh, we don't know what's happening, what is this?
It's a lot.
And so the young people say, Dr. Troop, ministry, we need something catchy. We
Right.
need to get a campaign out there. We need to build awareness. And so when you say TREND, is really the communication arm of the work and our attempt to build awareness around the pillars of transformation.
Understood. Trending upwards.
Yeah.
Now, so you told me about the disconnect that people are feeling about traditional education. Yeah. So tell me about some of the targeted things that the program wants to achieve.
Well, coming out of the Orlando-led Patterson report, and he's a Jamaican, so we are really, really happy to know that we had a Jamaican who came back and to lead this commission and came up out of a series of conversations with Jamaicans, all walks of life, young people, adults, educators, members of our government, all over. There are a series of
I love that the young people are factoring so heavily.
And we have our structured youth leaders in our country, and they have been advocating to be at the table, so we can't leave them out. And so coming out of that, the Transformation Commission packaged a report under 7 pillars. And pillar 1 has to do with governance, accountability, and legislation. Pillar 2 has to do with early childhood education. And you have heard a big conversation about not investing enough in early childhood education. And of course, getting it right from the start.
True.
Then, of course, pillar 3 has to do with teaching, curriculum and teacher training. And you know that the system cannot exceed the quality of its teachers. So that's a big pillar.
Yes.
Right. And following that, we have teacher on the tertiary sector. We have technical and vocational education and training.
We have to talk about that.
We have infrastructure and technology.
Right.
And we have finance. I think I've got all 7. So those are the 7 pillars. And organized under those pillars are some recommendations that we need to focus on to get it right.
Right. So I very much want to go to the vocational training one. I want to talk about finance in particular. But first, let's start with the first one. Governance and accountability. Make sense of that for us.
Okay, so that's a big pillar because it really has to do with the structured approach or the framework that we're using to manage education.
Okay.
You know, the leadership, their roles and their responsibilities. And what the Commission found is that we don't have clear, definitive guidelines and roles and responsibilities at the different levels. Who is in charge of what?
Okay.
Who makes the decision? Who do we hold accountable?
So people know what to do and how to do it.
People know what to do and how to do it and who we should hold accountable for things that are happening in a school, for example. We have 1,010 public schools, which means that we have 1,010 boards of management, and we have devolved the authority in the boards to manage the institutions. But the Commission has found that, boy, we have to strengthen the boards because many times these are not technocrats.
Right.
Right? And they are managing and leading something that they are not the best experts at. And so we have to look back as a ministry on the quality of persons who are selected to lead our boards because of the importance of governance. When you have a strong board, you have a successful school. So that's very important, right?
Yes.
So the Commission said, Ministry of Education, you have to go back to the drawing board. What are the minimum standards for those you select to serve on a board? Right? Who will lead that board? That's critical because if you don't have the agency or something to bring to the table, you can't have followership. You have to win your followers or your constituency you are leading. And so a simple one is just look at your governance structure, look at your boards, and not only in our schools, but even in the central ministry.
Yes.
So the governance will permeate all levels of the ministry in terms of the central ministry or divisions or agencies. The Commission also said we need to assess the Ministry of Education in terms of its structure. Is it properly fitted for purpose?
Right.
Fit for purpose, who's leading, where the people are, what skill set you need, you know, and what else can be done to strengthen the management of education in Jamaica.
So a data-driven approach.
A data-driven approach and accountability. So now you know clear lines of responsibility, who is in charge, what they come with, how do we hold you accountable? Who do we hold accountable? And if we are not able to do that, then we're not going to have the success because it's going to be a rolling mass.
Doc, I have to pause you. The passion is coming out and I don't want to stop, but we're going to go to a break right now. Please don't go anywhere. We're discussing trend with Dr. Cassantrove.
Watch the trend, pick up the trend. This are the trend for all the youths them. Watch the trend, pick up the trend. TREND. Big up the trend for education, teachers and the students. A fully bright future, yes, that are the new trend. Better governance, partner with the parents. Follow the big trend, elevate the youth them. Improve the schools, track performance, access and attendance. From infant, primary to university students. Turn up the skills training, full steam we are getting. Follow the big trend, elevate the schools, yeah. Watch the trend, pick up the trend. This are the trend for all the youths them. Watch the trend, pick up the trend. TREND. For more technology, yes, and better planning, quality education, that's what should be trending. From principals to EOs, everybody winning. Follow the ministry. We're changing the system. Watch the trend, pick up the trend.
This is Trend, Transforming Education for National Development, a program designed by the Ministry of Education and Youth to transform Jamaica's education system for a brighter tomorrow.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. We're continuing our discussion on the Transforming Education for National Development TREND program. Our guest is Dr. Cassin Troop, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Youth. Dr. Troop, we went through governance and accountability, and I like that the TREND program and the whole transformation is going from first principles. But let's take another pillar. You mentioned early childhood education, getting it right from the start.
Yeah.
Help us out with that.
So that's pillar 2. That's very important, and that has generated a lot of discussions in the wider sector because of how important it is to start it right. So we have the Early Childhood Commission,
Yes.
right, which is an agency of the ministry, it came out of the Education Task Force report, which is another assessment of the system that informed some changes, and that agency came out of that to lead. It's like a special purpose vehicle to lead the transformation in early childhood. Right. What the commission did was to look back at that, to assess that, and to say, boy, Ministry of Education, Jamaica, we need to do more. So we have some good things in place. We have the structure, we have a legislation, we have our 12 standards, we have achieved the registration of our early childhood institutions. We're on a trajectory to certify them because when we achieve those things, we know what is in the sector, who is in the sector, and that the quality is being maintained, right? So when you say a school is certified, it means that the proper stimulation is happening, it means that it's safe, it means that the children get in the right place. Parents are involved, so we don't underestimate the value of a school being said to be certified. You're talking about the guaranteed standards.
Right. No, and people, sorry if I can interrupt, people now know what certified means. Yes. It's no longer just a stamp.
Not just a stamp, it means quality. Right. It means you can guarantee that your child will get a good start.
By this standard.
By these standards here. Right. What the commission said, no, more needs to be done.
Okay.
Because we still have a number of private early childhood institutions.
Yes.
And if you recall how the early childhood sector started out, it's really about the church and communities coming together, developing programs and building schools. They are naturally managed by community centers, managed by churches, and so predominantly they are owned by the private sector, for want of a better word. So the investment has not been significant from the government's perspective as we have in the primary education, which is fully managed by the government, and the secondary education. And so the commissioner said, no, we need to go back. We need to look at what is happening in the early childhood sector, and we need to do more in terms of the standards for the teachers who enter, the practitioners who enter, because we have different levels of teachers. We have persons with NCTV at level 2. We have persons who just may have an associate degree, and we have persons with their first degree in early childhood education. So we need to decide
what's the standard?
What's the standard for entry to teach or to work in the early childhood profession? So that is something we have got to look at. Also, professional development is ongoing. We have to retool. And for those persons who are already in the sector, we have to build their capacity and put them on a track to get fully qualified to teach in the program. We have to make sure that at least one trained teacher is in each early childhood institution to make sure that the standards, the qualities are in place. That's not happening yet because it's privately funded. Parents have to pay for those institutions, and out of that income, schools will try and work out a package.
Right.
But if it's not attractive enough, you're not going to retain. So here there's a pull on the government to do more. The intention really is not to eliminate the private entities, because you see that we have a robust system of our prep schools and our primary schools coexisting, serving the same purpose, and they're having a healthy relationship. So it's not for our private entrepreneurs who are owners of educational institutions to feel as if the government wants to take over. What we have to do is to partner. In cases where an institution is struggling, the commission says, let's transform those. We call it modernization of the early child sector. We pull them over onto the government's framework. We provide full funding for them. We provide the teachers. But what is more important is that the children or the infant have access to fully funded education. That's the approach in getting that and making sure that even our own institutions are certified.
Yes.
So it's not just a building and access, but the standards, the program of learning, must meet up to the 12 standards of the Early Childhood Commission. So that's what they're saying to us. They also said we have to coordinate so many persons in the health sector, nutrition, developmental milestones. It can't be something that we do in isolation. So there needs to be an oversight body that will coordinate the work and services of the early childhood sector and to monitor that.
Dr. Troop, you've spoken about standards a lot. That's the word for this interview. And you spoke about who is also operating in the sector. That's another pillar.
Yeah.
Teaching curriculum and teacher training. In the last few minutes, just help us out with that one.
All right, that has to do with the most important resource in the sector, our teachers.
Yes.
They're at the center of planning. We plan for every learner everywhere. And at the center of that are our students and our teachers. That is the person who is in front of that student.
Right.
Who will wipe the nose, who will hug them, who will make them feel loved, who will pull from within.
We'll see that they're struggling with this subject.
And do the extras. And we know what our teachers can do. We are all recipients of our teachers' love and care.
Yes.
And so we have to now look at the quality of our teachers. We have something to boast about though, because most of our teachers at this time are qualified at a first degree level. Even came out in the recent PISA report.
Yes,
that Jamaica is looking good in terms of the qualification of our teachers. But we need to translate that into more deliverables in terms of the output and outcomes for our learners. Because we're not seeing it translated. We have an excellent qualified sector, but we're still not seeing the performance as we want it. So it's to build the teachers, make sure that they are trained, to build their capacity while they are in the system. Professional development is a part of the plan of transformation. We have to budget for it. We have to make sure that we are supporting it because teachers need to retool as they go along. And we can reference the pandemic. We had to rush into retooling the teachers for virtual learning. And then to carry them back in the space, and we're still promulgating the hybrid approach. We still have the remote learning opportunities available to us. When there's a disruption in a community, when there's heavy rain, we don't shut down school again. We say we are going into the remote environment. So we still have to have the infrastructure in place. We still have to build the pedagogy of our teachers so we can access that support even within or outside of the regular classrooms, those four walls. We have to make sure that the curriculum is available and upgraded and relevant. So that's what the Commission is saying. We need to assess what we have now. Is it working? What's not working? Or we need to go back to correct the errors of the implementation. We did have some flaws, and that has plagued us. So we have to go back. But we do have a very good set of curricula. They have been reviewed by our counterparts in Finland that we talk about, reviewed by our counterpart in Singapore, our counterparts in Canada. We went to the best and said, this is what we have developed, what do you think? And they gave us, supportive feedback. So what we have now is good, but we have an implementation issue that we have to fix.
Understood. Doc, we're completely out of time, and one thing I do notice though is that as you spoke about the teachers, it wasn't just the qualification, the degree. There are so many other things that you mentioned. Implementation. We have spent a lot of time and we've only just covered 3 pillars. We definitely will need to cover some others. But in the last 3 seconds of this interview, teachers, students, stakeholders are watching. If you could just leave them with a very brief word.
Teachers, students, all stakeholders in education, parents, this transformation is not going to be possible without you. We need all hands on deck. Parents, parental engagement is important. We need you to visit your schools. You don't have to be invited. Make an appointment. See your teachers. Build that relationship. Support the program of education at the school. Play your part. Students, I've always talked to you and about you. You have a responsibility to maximize on the opportunities. It doesn't matter where you are starting. Boys and girls, it only matters where you are going. You have the capacity to shine, and what we have to offer will enable you, but you have to grasp it. You have to use it. You can't explain your future away. This is it. And time is running whether or not you use it, so we have to maximize. Principals, instruction and leadership is in your hands. And everything rises and falls on leadership. So if you are not leading that charge, then I'm calling upon you to pay attention to the report and to just organize for learning, right? Because the transformation is not going to happen at central ministry. It's really happening in our schools, in your classrooms. So we're asking you to pay attention to the pillars, to organize for learning, and respond to the needs on the ground. Let's not just move the children along. Let's customize the program for them. Let's pause.
A strident and powerful call to action. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest was Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Youth, Dr. Casson True. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Take good care.
For the month of February, we'll be featuring different reggae artists in our docu-series, Hit Me With Music, highlighting their musical journey and their thoughts on the genre in general. In today's episode, we'll learn about the church boy, Mortimer, who defied his upbringing to pursue his dreams of becoming a reggae artist.
For the love of reggae music and music overall,
Your love struck me down lightning, thunder in my soul, baby. My heart beats for you only. Every word is true, I'm in love with you.
Mortimer seems an unusual name, but it is indeed his given name. Like reggae, the alluring singer was bred in the city of Kingston. Mortimer admits to being what he calls an indoor child who wasn't allowed to see much of the city, an act he quickly remedied once he got older. What he experienced helped to shape the musician he is today.
I listened to a lot of music outside of what was allowed in my household too. A lot of soul music, a lot of reggae music, a lot of pop as well. And yeah, like all of them, I think, influenced the sound of my music in one way, shape or the other. Plus things that I have, just my environment overall and my observation, my perspective, all of these things have shaped my music now and the music that I sing now.
Listening to the melodic words of the love-struck artist makes you wonder about his pen-to-paper process.
My process involves a lot of sinking within myself, a lot of letting go of a lot of things within myself to give myself the space to kind of be honest, the most honest I can be when I'm writing. It's a very immersive process for me, I hate to be bothered in those times.
Oh, brother man, you can stop for a breath, but don't you quit.
From an artistic family, his career could have gone no other way.
My mother used to sing, and my father writes as well. And I grew up in an artistic household overall. My father is a painter, and I too, I dabble in art as well.
Still, his path took his parents by surprise.
For the love of reggae music, I have put myself in a position to be forsaken by family.
The church boy who wanted to be a reggae artist. So, how was that conversation?
I wish it was a conversation, but it wasn't, unfortunately. There was no conversation more than I would need to leave if this is the kind of lifestyle that I'm going to pick up. Music was the choice of a child who wanted to be his own man and not necessarily walking that is footsteps.
And it's right, you will feel a fire. Nothing's wrong with having desire. Just be willing to pay what it requires.
Many artists play their music in the shadows and fade away when the light appears. But here we are with Mortimer. Besides his obvious talent, a collaboration with Protege is credited with his fortune.
I definitely would say that song did a lot for like the visibility of my career. I went to rehearsal one evening. He told me he had somebody to meet me, you know what I mean, somebody for me to meet. And it was Protege and Winter, James at the time. And, you know, they were like, yo, we've been listening to the stuff you've been making in Paris and, you know, your other music that you have come out as well. And we'd like to work with you. And from there, we developed a working relationship, you know, and we got into the music of things, and it was fantastic, very natural, very organic kind of situation. The first time I heard it, I was like, whoa, you know, and yeah, it was a joy and a privilege for me to sing that for sure.
Musical collaboration is often sought when trying to reach another audience. By his own admission, collaboration played a significant role in his career. But how does he feel about the coupling in general?
Collaboration is very important, I think. I have been caught in the past, you know, with feelings of, oh, well, yeah, it's my music and it's my music and I need to write it this particular way and it needs to have this particular bass line. And while all of that is good too, collaboration kind of helps you get out of yourself sometimes too, for the benefit of the music itself. It gives you a chance to see from somebody else's eyes, to hear from somebody else's ears, and to experience just another person's perspective overall. And all of that now combined together, you know, creates a work of art that is so multi-dimensional, you know what I mean, in thought, that you end up with a really solid product.
Given the opportunity, who would you like to collaborate with?
Bob, for sure. For sure.
It's possible that we could go vault diving, but it's also possible that opportunity won't happen. Who else?
Chronix is one. I'd love to collaborate with Burning Spear. I think he is a powerful force in reggae music.
There's a lot of talk about the state of music and who does reggae these days.
I don't subscribe to that notion that reggae music is dead or belong to anybody. But I will say though that the state of the music now it's a bittersweet situation for me, because there's good music being made. I definitely believe so, and I hear it all the time. Then there's music being made that's not so good for the brain, you know. But in the state of responsibility and perspective, I feel like there are aspects of the music that can be better. Good music is being made, you know what I mean? You have a lot of great artists out there that's making music that's moving the culture forward.
And we can say that Mortimer is one of them. The singer is set to release his debut album this year, and though not willing to say much about it, he was willing to let us know that the album is more of a note to himself.
Your vibe is like a gentle breeze, you make me feel all kinds of things. The things I like about you most are way beyond what eyes can see.
And this is where we end today's show. But before we go, I want to share with you another thought from the Book of Bob. You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have. Another reminder of our resilience as a people. To catch a repeat of this or any other program, feel free to log on to our website, jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.